Are you looking to up your real estate investing game? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Sub 2 Deals Show with your host, Sub 2 expert William Tingle.
Hey, Sub-Tours. My name is William Tingle of sub2deals.com, and I would like to welcome you to this episode of the Sub 2 Deals Show, where we talk about all things subject to. Occasionally, we will cover other real estate topics, but it's always something to help you with your real estate investing business. Today is another episode in our Real Investor series, where we feature real investors sharing real stories and real deals. These guys are investors doing deals all across the country. There are no boot camps or courses to sell with these guys, just real tips and strategies and the things that are working today in their businesses and in their markets. They share them all, and these things can work for you too. So pay attention and take lots of notes. My guest today is Angela Reynolds. Angela is a real estate investor in Colorado Springs, Colorado. She's been investing for just a little bit under a year and is currently investing in remote markets, Florida and Georgia, wholesaling. She's also doing sub-2 deals in Colorado Springs and is looking to expand her business into sub-2s in the Georgia market. So if any of you guys out there have any leads, I'm sure she'd appreciate you contacting her with them and you guys doing some business together. Angela, welcome to the Sub 2 Deal Show.
Thank you. Thank you, William, for having me. It's an honor to be on your podcast. So super excited. So thank you again.
Well, thanks so much. Hey, tell us just a little bit about yourself, Angela. What did you do before real estate? Where you're from? Tell us a little bit about your family.
I was born in Jacksonville, Florida. Lived there for a while. But raised in a small town called Bradley, which is like on the southwest side of Stamps, Arkansas. From there, then I was kind of raised in Dallas. That was the last place that I was at. So fast forward, graduated high school, went to college for a little bit. I went into the military, the Army for some years. Whole marriage, divorce situation, and then I ended up just staying here in Colorado. My background has usually been more like supply chain management in the aerospace. I currently do that now, along with real estate investing on the side. So.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much for your service, Angela. We certainly appreciate that. How long have you lived in Colorado Springs?
Roughly, it's 9 years now I've been in Colorado, so fairly long time.
Okay. Well, I just recently moved here, so I guess you're kind of my competition now.
No, I am not your competition, William. I can never be your competition.
Oh, that's not true at all. I understand you're really kicking some butt out there. But just joking about that, I mean, I always say I don't have any competitors, just people I haven't figured out a way to work with yet. So I'm looking forward to us getting together and doing some stuff out here.
I am too. I am so ecstatic. You have no idea. So I talk about this show all the time. I talk about like you all the time. I'm like, gosh, people got to meet this amazing guy. So I'm super excited that you are in Colorado Springs. I can't even believe it. So.
Yeah, well, great. Like I said, I'm looking forward to us doing some stuff. We've already hung out at Tony's watching the Packers for a little bit, so maybe we can get together. Don't look like we'll be doing it this year, but maybe next year we can.
Of course. So looking forward to that always.
Yep. Well, tell me a little bit about what got you interested in real estate.
So when I was here earlier in Colorado, I've always been interested, but I never knew, I didn't want to be a realtor. I knew without a doubt, I can't be a realtor. That was just not my thing, but I never knew other creative sides. So I have an aunt that's in Texas, and she told me about wholesaling, but I had a lot of questions, I didn't even know. I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, just look it up. Like, I know I'm missing some things. And I was like, okay. So when I looked up, I went to YouTube. My first YouTube video I saw was a Max Maxwell, and I was instantly hooked. It was this one episode about this guy named Brian Aribu, I believe I'm pronouncing his name. And he said that he made $100K part-time wholesaling and or just creative deals. I was like, this is no way. Like, and he worked literally the same hours. So I just kind of got into it. I mean, I try to find every book, every meetup out here, like anything I can possibly find about wholesaling and just how it works. And after that, I just kind of formed something on my own thing and just, took it from there. So.
Yeah. Most investors that I meet actually got their start with wholesaling. Interestingly enough, I have only probably wholesaled, I could probably count on one hand the number of deals I've wholesaled, and they were pretty much accidental.
Really?
So, yeah, I got my start immediately,
Yeah.
just doing sub twos and lease options and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I was a little bit backwards, I guess, but
No, I think that's awesome. That's a different way. I not listened to that one episode, and then there was a guy out here that was talking about subject twos, and the whole crowd, the meetup was like silent. And I'm like, huh. So that just kind of got me into going with subject twos. So I think that's awesome. Anyway, real estate investing is a really good thing.
oh, absolutely it is.
Yeah.
It sure is. Well, I know that you've been investing a little bit less than a year, which I think is phenomenal that you're having such success right now and you're working in different markets. Tell us exactly how long you have been investing.
Really, 9.5 months.
Oh, yeah?
9.5 months. Yeah. But a lot of people think like, really? I'm like, no, seriously. Like I got the whole paralysis analysis. I got it twice actually. And when I went to a certain meetup about subject twos, I literally Googled Facebook, found your group, and then I just like, oh, I think I just discovered the best thing ever and have not looked back. So literally 9.5 months, I just started.
Yeah. I'm pretty partial to subject to. I mean, you can't beat getting ownership of the house, not having to go out and get financing, not having to bring money to the table. So
Right.
taking advantage of financing that's already in place, that's hard to beat.
Yeah, it is. And people, some people, they don't understand it. So they're like, how did you were able to understand it so quickly? And I've always been a fast learner. Like my mother can tell you, she's like, yeah, she thinks I'm like the smartest person ever, which mothers always, of course, your biggest cheerleaders, but I've always had a fascination for learning and learning something pretty quick, and I can put it in my own terms, and then like
Mhm.
that's it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
great. Well, tell us about your business model. Now, I know you're wholesaling in two states. You're doing sub twos here, but I mean, do you have a favorite or a specific thing that you really like to do or prefer to do? Like,
I really like subject twos and the lease option. The reason why it's the market out here in Colorado is just Colorado Springs, just Colorado period is crazy. You're not going to get, I talk to investors in other states and they're, very shocked that you're not going to find a 180 home or a home, you can flip really quick. It's just not like that out here, and there's a lot of people out here that has the money, but they don't have the credit to back up to help them to get that home. I work with a lot of older people that's their desire. They just want to own a home, and no one has given them a chance or like educate them like, hey, this is another option. So really, sub two lease options is like probably my favorite thing because I'm helping someone out, and I'm not only just giving them a house, I'm actually setting them up with a credit repair person.
mhm.
And then when it gets time to refi, Andrew, you had him on your show. We
Mhm.
kind of talk. He's going to be my lender guy. So I'm putting people in place for them where literally they can just walk through. I have an agent on my team. Like they really don't have to do anything. They just like be ready to refi. So I think that's probably like my best thing. But I'm dipping and dabbing in other things. Like I'm currently, there's a lot of things I'm working on with me and my business partner. But mostly it's, we like sub two. He himself has been a person on the seller side as a sub two. And, he tells our potential clients as well, like, hey, this is really a good option, so that helps. So yeah, that's probably like my favorite thing right now.
Oh, yeah. So, what would you say is your best source for leads? Now, I usually like to ask investors I talk to if your life depended on generating quality leads, within the next 24 hours, what would you do right now, right this minute?
Man, I really have two, but I would say realtors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people are 50-50 on realtors. I'm not. I target specific type of realtors. I target realtors that go to REI meetups, like, because they already open-minded at that point, right? So they already know, like, okay, there's other creative ways. They just don't fully understand, and they're open to learn how to help, a person. A good realtor is going to know, okay, it's not just about the money. Of course, everybody want to make profit too, but if I can make money and help this person, that's a win-win situation. So I would say realtors. I get majority of my leads from them.
Mm-hmm. So are these realtors that actually work with you, that you have an exclusive agreement with, or are these just people that you've met that when something comes along, they just contact you and say, hey, I had this potential deal come along, and thought about you because we met at such and such, and you want to take a look at it?
Well, it's been various. My first sub-2 deal, if she was a friend of mine, she was a realtor. She was just kept telling me about it, and I just, like, at this time I hardly knew any. I knew about subject-2s. I was very knowledgeable, like aware of them, but I wasn't like, oh, I knew to identify with a subject-2. So we were friends. The other two that I'm working on, we actually met in a Facebook group, and we just been really close. But any realtor that comes to me, I give them an incentive. I let them know, like, hey, I'll do this, I'll do that. You're the buyer's agent, things of that nature. And, we just establish agreement, and it's not just exclusively to them, it's exclusively to any realtor that willing to help their client out. So I kind of make that, any realtors I talk to in these type of meetups, because I know, like I say, they're more open to investors, that it won't be a problem for them. I'll give them that, I'll work out a deal with them.
Right. Okay. Do you have any favorite tools in your business that you can share with us? What you use, how it works, and
Google Drive, keep all my documents in there. I just established one new one, a CRM I use by HubSpot. I love that. And PropStream. Since I'm virtual, I use PropStream a lot to, kind of strategize where I use List Source for my zip codes, my hottest zip codes, and based on that, those are the type of houses that I target, especially if I want to wholesale a deal really quickly. I know that in that zip code I'm going to sell the contract pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that PropStream works well for you in the markets that you're working in? I actually used PropStream for a short time and recommended it, but it got kind of glitchy. And so, I mean, are you finding that it's working well for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on PropStream for a while now, and I can tell the significant difference from the first time I used it. And before that, I used REI Pro, and that's a really good software as well. However, I feel like if you're just brand new into real estate investing, it literally breaks it down in steps, and I don't need it. I just need the data. So now PropStream, I mean, you can look at commercial, you can look at land, you can look at so many different types of properties, mobile homes. I have a buyer that's all him and his partner want are mobile homes. And I can literally look, present something to him, get him the data, do some analysis, and then, keep it moving forward. So if it was before, I was getting a little frustrated, and I can understand those glitches that you're saying. But now, I mean, everything is literally at your fingertips. It's just, just trying to figure out what's going to work for you. Because I know a lot of people use it. So
yeah, I know we were trying to work with it a couple of days ago, and do you have a phone app for that? I mean, we haven't been able to find one. Have they produced one for that yet, or are you still?
No, I haven't. I still use my Google Voice, and then my business partner is trying to talk to me about doing a ringless voicemail. So I'm like, we'll see. But no, I haven't had one for prop stream. No, I
Yeah,
just really use it for data.
right. So prop stream's pretty valuable to you.
Yeah, it very is. I had a torn relationship between them and REI Pro, but um, once I kind of see, like, you can look up divorces, you can look up failed listings, you can look up bankruptcies, and a lot of those other two, like REI Pro, don't do so. But
Right.
however, this is still a good software for like a beginner wholesaler that needs those steps. So,
Right. Okay.
mhm.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, Angela is going to share with us her criteria when evaluating a sub two deal and deciding if she wants the deal or not. What factors go in there to assure her that, she'll make money, cash flow, whatever her plan is for the property. So you guys stay with us, and we'll be back in just a minute.
The Sub 2 Deals Show with your host, Sub 2 expert William Tingle. We'll be right back. Hey Sub 2ers, do you want to learn how to get the deed but need a little help getting started? Want to learn how to fill out the paperwork, how to use a land trust, how to market for deals, how to negotiate with sellers, and more? Join us in the Sub 2 Deals Facebook coaching group. Get the benefits of one-on-one coaching without the big price tag. Learn to do Sub 2 right with coaching in a group setting and mastermind format. Head over to sub2deals.com right now and click on consulting and group coaching. We'll save you a seat. Back to the show, the Sub 2 Deals Show with your host, Sub 2 expert William Tingle.
Okay, Sub-Tubers, we are back with Angela Reynolds. Angela is a real estate investor in the Colorado Springs market, where she specializes in subject to and some wholesaling. She is also a virtual wholesaler in the states of Florida and Georgia. So an investor for less than a year, she is really kicking some serious butt. So you guys listen up. She is going to share with us her criteria for evaluating a sub two deal and deciding if it's something that she wants to play or pass on. So Angela, tell me, a potential deal falls in your lap, you're taking a look at it. What factors are you looking at when you're deciding whether that's something you want to do or pass on?
Towards the deal, I do look at the area. Out here, it's a big thing about the certain area if it's close to certain things. So, and I look at area for one because when it comes to the property, I'm already having like 2 to 3 strategies before I even say yes, I'm gonna take it. So that's one. It has to have at least a $300 cash flow. And as far as equity, no less than 30K. It has to be a case by case basis if it's 25, depending on just, if the location is really good and I just need to keep it a little bit longer to, build up the equity up. And then it's just as far as how many strategies that I can have with this one house. So usually when houses, I try to go for 2 to 3 strategies before I say, okay, like let's take this house on, or like, no, this is not for us, and just give other suggestions as well. So those are pretty much my criteria.
It is so great to hear you say, first of all, that you have 2 or 3 possible strategies, because so many people, unless they have just a cookie cutter approach and they're only looking for specific things that fit, so many people don't have any idea. I always tell investors, know the back door before you go in the front door.
Exactly.
It's important to do that, because if you don't know where you're going with it, you're going to procrastinate. You're going to buy the house, hang on to it too long. It's going to cost you money. And the second thing is your minimum cash flow, because, and you know this, you're in the forum, you see people posting all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I've got this lead on this great deal. I can make $50 a month in cash flow, or whatever. Or even I see people from time to time say that they'll take a negative cash flow going in. And listen, if your profit isn't a certainty, you just don't do it.
No, I agree as well. I'm never taking anything that had a negative cash flow. I would never take something with a negative cash flow. And that's just me. If it works for someone else, it works. But I agree with you. I definitely, and I've been teaching my business partner on the strategy. We'll literally sit down and look at all the property that we look at and say, hey, what are 2, 3 strategies we can do? that like we know that no matter what that strategy, it's going to be a quick turnaround for us. That we won't be able, we will be able to have the house, but we're just not sitting there, empty, and we're not paying for the mortgage. So we definitely
Right.
came into that.
That's my goal when I buy a house. That's why I collect a buyer list. We're always looking for buyers, to have on our list so we can move a house. And of course, the goal is to never have to make a payment on it yourself.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. I think that's like my biggest fear subject to. I'm like, I don't want to pay this. So let's strategize 2 or 3 options before we say, okay, we want to take this, or and if we can't help, I haven't been in a situation where we couldn't help anybody out. Well, I have, but it was in another state. So, and I was just very honest with that person, but it didn't have to do anything with monies. It was just, people are very sentimental when it comes to their homes.
Right.
So, but at the same time, you have to be very transparent and honest with them. So,
Yep.
yeah, been there.
Right. Can you give us an example of a deal that you're working on right now? Maybe, how you found it, how you evaluated it, what the numbers looked like, what your exit strategy is for it, and,
Yeah. So currently, my partner and I, we have 3 subject to deals that we're like working on. The first one is through a realtor. It's out in a nice area. The couple literally just walked out. They couldn't afford it. When you're a first time homeowner and you're not realizing, yeah, you have a proof of this 300K loan, but if you have other expenses, you can't afford a 300K home.
right.
So they literally walked out, and paid within 6 to 8 months. Their mortgage right now, we're in the twos. So my realtor told me this, and at that time I was like, okay, what can I do with this house? Before I even told her, yes, I'll look at the house, I was like, what can I do with this house? So I strategized 2 or 3 ways. So one of the ways I strategized was um, short-term rental, but I didn't want to do Airbnb. So this is the house that I am going to, and it's 15 minutes away from the hospital. So we're going to do it to a travel nursing agency. So that's one strategy. 2, the mortgage is too high for me to market to rent this out. So their lender has offered them to do a loan modification. So I told them, take it, take that loan modification. They still don't want the house, but take the loan modification. So that's what we're just waiting on right now, is the loan modification to kick in. But when I do that loan modification, now I have a range of how much I can rent this house out now. So they put the loan modification in for $1,200. I can rent it out $1,500. The average rent in that area is $18. So I can go between 15 and 18 and still make a nice cash flow. So that's 2. Or 3, that's just rent it out. So that's the other option of just rent it out. Again, I could do a short term, or I can rent it out, or do a seller finance. So I'm taking the house, and I kind of strategize on the back pay with them because they owe up to 12K. So I offered to do 6K and put the 6K on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's to the lender.
right, right,
Right.
to catch them up, or just put all on the back end and just lower the payment. So I got that one going. Another 2 is due to the husband. They're trying to decide if he's going to be leaving the Army. They don't know yet. And then another one we just picked up. We got referred through a wholesaler actually. He never does subject twos, and he knew he couldn't wholesale this deal. This is not a deal he can wholesale. And been talking to this man and his family. He needs to leave due to health reasons, and he only have 12K. But this is a nice area, so I know that whatever we do to it, it's going to be marketable for someone to want to pick it up as a seller finance, or even maybe a short-term rental.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the 3 we're working right now.
Right. So if you don't mind sharing, and you may not want to, and that's okay, but I was just curious, if you take a deal like the abandoned house that you just told us about, that the
Mm-hmm.
realtor took you to, and you've done a loan mod, and you've committed to 6,000 with the lender. How do you fund those things if you're just going to rent the house? Now, you know the way I do things. I sell everything with seller financing.
Mm-hmm.
So I get, typically 8 to 10% down. So if I'm dealing with a $300,000 house, I'm looking for, at least 25,000 down. And that'll go a long way toward funding agents or back payments or anything else. But in this situation here, if you rent that house, how do you fund anything to the lender or back payments or anything like that? Do you use a private lender or?
Yeah, like I would use a hard money or do the seller finance, but this market is very, I'm not going to say it's not difficult, but it's been very challenging to find that person that can afford that 10%, the 8 to 10% down. So I do consider that as an option. But for me to be like, okay, this is a good house, I'll take it. I'll do like private money or hard money. Or if I have a couple wholesale deals, I'll strategize and then just use my wholesale deal money that I made into do that. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Well, Angela, think about your most unusual deal. And listen, when I ask this question, I've heard all kinds of things. When you may have heard them, I had a guy on the podcast here a couple of months ago that his unusual deal was a murder for hire plot where one of the couple had actually hired somebody to kill the other one and just all kinds of things. So, I heard some pretty strange stuff, but
oh my gosh.
Think about your most unusual deal, the one with the most difficult circumstances or the most difficult to put together. Can you tell us about that? How'd that go?
I haven't really had any unusual, but I had a particular interesting deal. So another wholesaler or investor reached out to me on this deal. It was kind of confusing because she wholesaled it from the seller and then was trying to subject to me. And I was really confused by it. So I was trying to get all the pieces together, and her numbers to me didn't make sense. They were off. It was a property in Georgia, and she was just telling me for the property she wanted 143, and I did my numbers, and I'm like, how did you get that number? This house is not even worth. But she tried to wholesale, so I'm asking her. I'm like, well, are you trying to subject to it, or are you trying to wholesale? Like, you can't wholesale and subject to you can't do that. So she's like, she said, so the document that she gave the seller was like a sub-2 deal. So I'm like, okay, well, what's the deed? And she's like, I didn't get the deed. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you didn't get so why did you give the seller a sub-2 contract? Like, it was so confusing. And then I found out she put my number on a for sale sign of the property. So people are calling me. I don't know what's going on. I had limited information. I had one video, and buyers was calling me, and I'm like, I didn't even have she had the third party authorization. I didn't have a third party authorization. And then when she's like, oh, we can talk to the lender, I can let you talk. I said, I can't talk to the lender. The lender's not going to talk to me. I can listen, but they're not going to talk to me. I don't have a third party authorization. So that deal was just, and I tried to get in contact with her. She didn't get in contact with me anymore. It was just really like interesting. Like, it was so confusing. That's probably that was recent, probably a couple months ago. So.
Yeah, it sounds like she didn't have a clear understanding of what was going on.
Right, or didn't understand like the subject to part, because I'm like, if I see a subject to contract and the limit, I'm like, well, where's your limited? She had a limited POA, and I'm like, well, where's your deed? And she's like, oh, I didn't get a deed. And I'm like, well, this is not a subject deal. Yeah, yeah, it was really confusing.
She doesn't really own the house. It would be hard for her to sell it to you, I guess.
Exactly. So. But yeah, that's probably the one interesting deal. But other than that, I really target like my people. Like, I target houses, I target my tenant buyers. Like, everything is literally target. So I think and not to say I'm just oblivious to risk, but it just eliminates my risk a little bit easier.
Right. Oh, that's yeah. You should always, I think calculated risk is okay, and I do that frequently, but you really need to know what you're getting into there. Um, how long have you been actually working in the state of Georgia with regard to investing?
It's super new. Like that was literally like my first introduction into Georgia.
Okay.
And then I had an assistant that was from Georgia, and she was telling people about my lease option. I have like a packet, like, my tenant buyers have to have criteria. Like I check everything. So that's kind of got me introduced into doing the lease options out there. So,
Well, just a little advice from someone who spent several years working there. You be careful in Georgia. During the crash and everything, 2008, 2009, Georgia was actually like the fraud capital of the U.S.
mm,
Yeah. So, especially if you're dealing in the Atlanta market and surrounding areas,
okay.
be really careful up there.
I would definitely keep that in mind.
They'll sell you a house in a minute that they don't own. So, you just watch that.
Yeah, I would definitely keep that in mind.
Angela, I mean, you certainly know a lot about investing. I mean, obviously, you're doing wholesaling, you're doing sub two. I hear you throwing out stuff about nursing, short term rentals and all those things. How did you learn to do what you do in such a short period of time?
It's called YouTube University, Masters in Podcasts, and Associate of Networking,
Right.
literally. I haven't had a mentor, not to say, and there's nothing wrong with having mentors. I just took the ball rolling and just started talking to people. I've talked to a couple real estate investors that I out there. I've talked to the Polites. They're really big into real estate. They're an African American couple out of the Charlotte side. They're big into investing. I've talked to this guy. His name is Nasir. I'm not gonna mispronounce his last name. So I've talked to him, and he's killing it in Charlotte. And I told him my concerns and just how wholesaling is different over here. It's not where you're driving and you're finding that distressed property. Like we don't have that out here. So we have to figure out, there's a lot of wholesalers out here. I didn't realize there's a lot of us out here. So I had to figure out something that's going to work for me. I don't have time to do bandit signs. I don't have time to knock on the doors. If I knock on the doors, it's just literally the certain door, the house I'm trying to target. So, and that's not even knocking, that's just placing some information, some free information for pre-foreclosure. So I had to figure out what's going to work for me by taking all this information in. I said earlier that I've had paralysis analysis like twice. It's hard, it's super hard when you get all this information and you're like, okay, I don't know what to do with it. And I just literally just decompress and just said, okay, you got to do what's going to work for you, what's going to work in your schedule. A lot of people don't realize, some of us do this full time. I actually have a full-time job. I work literally 42 to 45 hours a week, and I do real estate like my weekends. That's literally what my weekends consist of, and after work at night with real estate investing. I have late night conversations with my business partner. We have meetings on Sunday. It just kind of worked for us. And it's just getting that information, and you got to figure out what's going to work for you. So that's it.
The biggest thing in getting started, I think, and learning and actually being successful is no matter how you learn what you learn, to actually take it and do something with it.
Yep, it is.
You can collect courses, and I've known guys that had literally thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of books and tapes and courses and watch videos all day long, but never ever do anything with the information.
I think it's a fear, though. I think it's, you don't know, and it's people like, oh, it's such a risk, and it is like, I think I was really nervous doing a substitute because that's a risk, because you have to make sure if you do lease options, you got to make sure that person is going to pay that mortgage. That's a huge risk. And that seller is taking a huge risk because they have to trust you.
Right.
But but the reward is so much better. And my first tenant buyers, there are a couple in my house, and the lady, she just cried. That makes me want to do it. That makes me drive to do it even more. She literally cried and she said no one have ever gave them a chance just to even try to get there, just to get them a home. And when I hear stuff like that, that just makes me like, okay, I got to do it. Like, it's not just about me anymore. I got to do this, you know? So yeah, it is. You get all this information and you just sit on it. I know people that told me they paid $20,000. I've even got offered a young man I just met. He's like, "Hey, I'll pay you," and I'm like, "No, I don't need you to pay me. Just let's work a deal. Like that's all I care about. I don't want to get paid. I don't. I will get paid by doing a JV. Or, you know, I've gotten that several times because people are just very like shocked that I've learned this stuff by myself, you know, with your forum. I know a couple times I reached out to you. I mean, in the group, and I mean, I really take that. Reading because half the stuff that everybody else been through, I haven't been through, but it's always a food for thought or okay, this is something I could possibly go through. So, you just gotta just do it. Like, you just gotta do it.
That's right. And just a little tip for you on the bandit signs. I noticed you said you didn't have time to do bandit signs. When I invested locally before, like I said, I did it for about 12 years in Georgia.
Uh-huh.
When I did that, I never blanketed the city with bandit signs. I always carried about 10 of them in my truck with me. And if I stopped at a traffic light or a stop sign that looked like it would be a good location, I would jump out, pound that thing on a sign, get in and go. You know, I very rarely put out more than 5 or 10 a week and still got a large percentage of my calls
Mm-hmm.
from those. So that may be something that you want to try. You don't have to put out 500 of them this weekend to get a response.
Right. And I said I even thought of I'm still like I know I just ordered, I think my business partner or we ordered bumper stickers. So like stickers, car stickers. So something like that. I'm like, yeah, we will probably do. Yeah, I would definitely consider that, you know, because I see people all the time out here putting so many and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's kind of overboard. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you could give new investors wanting to get started any advice, what would it be?
oh man, I just talked to a new investor like a couple of days ago. You can't overthink it. If you overthink it, paralysis analysis is going to set in. I feel like you should learn the basics. You know, whether if it's a subject to or wholesaling, but you know, I think eventually when you get more comfortable, like how the process works, I think you should learn at least or be a knowledge of one creative deal. You may not do it, but you should acknowledge what it is and then don't be afraid to reach out to people. Um, you know, if the numbers don't work on a wholesale, you know, communicate that to other investors, go to REI meetups. Um, my first two meetups, I had 5 buyers. I got 5 buyers in one meetup. So, you know, you have to go out and you know network with people. Real estate investing is a really networking type of industry. It's all
Mhm.
about who you know. It's about what you know, but really it's about who you know too. I literally just talked to an investor and he doesn't network, but he comes to me and asks me everything, and I'm like, that's not how it works. You know, if you want to do a fix and flip, you want to, and if it's a good number, you want to make sure you know a contractor on site, you know. And to this day, I have a contractor and I've yet to work with him, but I know that we're going to work together, which just I have a potential that's coming up. But I just say that, just like, don't overthink it. You know, just learn the basics, reach out to other, you know, investors like myself, you know, people like you that have been in it. And, you know, I'm more than happy to give you advice, you know, on a deal.
Mhm.
So, because everybody can literally make money in real estate investing. Like, it's not everyone, you know, everyone can make money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds great.
Hmm.
Well, Angela, tell me now, you said you're doing deals in Colorado Springs. Are you covering the entire state of Florida and Georgia or just certain parts?
Right now it's certain parts. So I work mostly like Lakeland, Tampa, like in those area. I haven't really touched Jacksonville, which my dad actually kind of been trying to talk to me about touching Jacksonville because he lives out there. But mostly like in the Tampa area. I'm looking for like Tallahassee, those area. Georgia is around the smaller area of, I guess the metro you can say of Atlanta. Jonesboro, those small towns. Mado, is that how you pronounce it?
Madonna?
Madonna, yeah, Madonna, Conyers, and that's it so far. But
Okay.
I'm open to like all over Georgia. I'm open
So,
to all Florida. So
so if someone has leads in those areas, I'm sure you'd like for them to contact you. You want to give us the best way to reach you, to contact you about anything that they may have, for wholesaling or sub twos?
yeah, so I have my Facebook page, which is 360 Acquisitions Ventures LLC. You can reach me out on there, or I have my email address, which is 360ACCQUISITION partners@gmail.com. Everybody, like, there's been a lot of people, even in your forum, that reach out to me. So, yeah, I have no problem reaching out. I have no problem talking about it. Actually, was talking to one of Substitute Forum member last night about, I try to, people that I can see like they just need a boost. So I'll check on you if I can. Send you a quick text like, hey, how are you doing? Were you doing any deals? What do you need to work on? So I didn't have that because I was really new into it, but I try to do it to other people. I try to help other people that way.
Okay, great. Well, Angela, thanks so much for spending time with us today and sharing what you're doing and what's working for you. We really, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, like again, I'm really happy that I was able to do this podcast. I'm super excited about more to come in 2020. Hopefully I get a chance to, work with others in the group, things of that nature. So looking forward to it.
Great. Sounds great. Well, Sub-Tours, that's it for this episode of the Sub-Two Deals Show podcast. You can find the show notes for this episode along with a complete transcript at sub2podcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe and give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcast. It only takes a minute, and it helps others discover the show. You can subscribe as well as leave a rating and review by visiting Apple Podcast and just do a quick search for the Sub-Two Deals Show. It would also be great if you would consider sharing our podcast with a fellow real estate investor who you think may benefit from it. And finally, if you haven't yet, you can join our free Facebook Subject To group at sub2forum.com. You can also find lots more resources to help you grow your real estate investing business at sub2deals.com. Until next time, keep learning, keep talking to sellers, and you will buy some houses.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Sub-Two Deals Show with William Tingle. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit sub2deals.com and on Facebook at Sub2Deals. We'll catch you next time.